Hello you awesome guys and girls, I'm Anthony aka Mad Wizard and welcome back to another episode of BarCraft for your nerdy cocktail needs for old and new viewers alike. It is fantastic to have you back as always. I've been having a bit of a think about sort of like what to do for a new video, and I know that we've shown you a lot of how to sort of like mix cocktails together, the history of cocktails, but they've all been primarily distilled spirits, which obviously when you're cocktail making that is perfectly fine. I mean you need that sort of strong alcohol ethanol to actually get through to the flavours, but a little bit about myself. Not only do I like mixology, sort of like learning about cocktails, but also the history behind them and also the ingredients that go into them, but I'm also quite an avid home brewer. Yes, I brew up many different concoctions, obviously behind camera or off camera I should say. If the beer doesn't give it away, I'm quite a big mead drinker, which we have discussed in earlier videos, honey wine if to use another expression. So for a while now what I've really wanted to do is do a brewing day and also document the day, sort of like the processes that I go through, and but also I thought to myself, like, what could I brew? I mean, I'm always sort of like doing meads and wines and stuff like that, but I thought we'd go back to basics. Yes, I say, because the sort of classic home cocktail making series, I thought that maybe you wanted to do something a little bit more advanced. It's sort of, you know, you've mixed these drinks together, you've learnt about the history, but you want to really feel some history about like where these ingredients come through. And from distillation, or before distillation, you have fermentation. And yes, one of the all-time most beloved, famous fermented beverages here and across the world, of course, is beer. Yes, the good old staple bar fermented beverage of choice. Yes, so yes, we're going to brew some beer today. Fantastic. So yeah, let's brew some beer. So before you click off the video and think to yourself, oh god, like, you know, I can't brew beer, like, you know, I mean, it's way too complicated. You might see breweries and they've got like really big expensive equipment and sort of like, and they're mashing the grains and doing this and doing that, and you think, oh, I can't do that. Well, we're going to try and simplify it as easy as possible. I mean, I don't have the best equipment in the world, and yes, you will need some equipment if you'd like to make your own beer, but trust me, it is not that complicated. Beer stretches back sort of like 3,500 BC, and I'm pretty sure that they didn't have big stainless steel vats and other things like that we have access today, and they were able to make it quite fine. So and to make it even easier, get yourself a kit. Yes, so we are going to use a beer brewing kit. So this is one that I bought a while back from a home brew shop. Also, if you are going to get into brewing or you want to get into beer brewing, the best place to start is either online on YouTube, as you can see around here, or I would recommend going to a brewing shop. I say brewing shops, I say they are so helpful, they're so handy, like, you know, all of the stuff there, they want to help you, and they normally, or more than likely, they will have kits available, like very cheap beginner kits that you can begin with and start brewing like very easily. And also it's a quick ferment as well, so like normally with most fermented beverages, like say sort of wine for instance, like, you know, you have to wait several weeks for it to ferment out, and then you have to put it into a secondary, and then you got to let that age, and you got to do this and got to do that. So it's a very long consuming process, but obviously we won't get into that today because obviously we want beer and we want it now. So this video will be spread over 2 videos. So today you're going to see the brewing side of the business, and then on a secondary video we will be bottling our home brew and of course giving it a good old taste as well. So this is the kit that I'm going to be using. It is a Belgian Grosh, I think, or Cloche. Basically it's a cherry beer. It's a sour cherry beer. So I've been wanting to do a cherry beer for a long time now. I've made other beers, I've done wines, I've done mead, but I've never done a cherry beer, and specifically a sour cherry beer, which is absolutely fantastic. If you've not had a sour cherry beer, please do. It is fantastic. Most lambics are like that. But anyway, so we are going to do one of these kits, and it is probably one of the easiest ways of brewing beer. Like normally you would have to get crushed barley or crushed malt, which you can also buy, but this is just already pre-done. I say basically what they've done is, like, in here is a liquid. You'll get to see it when I open it. Is that it's a syrupy sort of consistency, and then we mix that with water, and basically what that is all of the sugars have been collected from the barley that's in here, with all of the concentrates and the hops that are all here, and it's just ready to go. You literally just add water and yeast and you're pretty much ready to go. It can be that simple. And if I just open it up here, you will see, so we've got a little bag of yeast. I don't know if you can hear that, but yes, that's the little yeasties, and of course the instructions on what to do, and it's written in every single language known under the sun. As I say, you know, all sorts, but it tells you exactly what to do. However, with this, we're going to chuck that away, because as I say, I've done this many times, and but I've read some reviews on this particular beer, and apparently for some reason they say that sort of like the cherry flavour is a bit weak in comparison. Now, this particular beer, or this particular kit I should say, it makes 12 litres. Don't know what that is in the sort of conversions, but anyway, I mean, it says it does 12 litres. But not only that, it also requires that you add brewing sugar. Now, brewing sugar is specifically a sugar that basically, when you ferment with normal sugar, some people, they say it gives off a sort of off flavour. You can't actually taste the fermented beverage that well. So basically, they developed brewing sugar, which would basically ferment the sugars in the beer to turn them into alcohol without actually producing any off flavours. So what we're trying to get at is we're trying to get to an original gravity of 1053. So that probably doesn't mean anything to you right now, but as I say, we will basically get into that in a bit more of the video. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the kitchen and we're going to start work. But basically what the idea is that we are going to mix this with water, but we're not going to do 12 litres, we're going to do 6 litres. We might even do a bit more. However, what we're trying to do is what I'm trying to do actually is that I don't want to add any sugar to this. So basically, by reducing the yield that I get out of this, I'm increasing the flavour, but also 12 litres, that is a lot of beer. That is quite a few pints, and I don't think I've got enough bottles kicking around even after this ferments out to fill 12 litres, and I'm just not going to be able to drink that much. So basically what I'm losing in quantity, I'm much making up for in flavour, but also for my own personal brewing needs, it works out better in my favour because I don't have to make as much, basically. So yes, let's get down to the kitchen and make some beer. So we're here now in the kitchen, and so this is all the equipment that you will need. See, not much, is it? So obviously you'll need your kit that you are going to be brewing with. Obviously it will come with the yeast, blah blah blah. Big pot for mixing that with water, stirry spoon, and a bucket to ferment in. Obviously this is a special brew bucket. It's just a simple plastic bucket with a little rubber grommet in the top there, and a air locker. Don't know why that's there. Oh right, it's just something else. Alright, so basically you will need these things. So basically you'll need something, so once that and that's mixed together, you'll need somewhere to put it in to ferment it, and this will go in here like that. So, and we'll show you what to fill that up with. All of this really isn't that expensive. Like what with the kit, maybe the pot and everything else, you're probably looking at about what, £50 give or take, like, you know. And also afterwards all you got to do is buy this, and you don't have to buy this anymore. Like, you know, you've got this and you can use it over and over and over again. Additional bits of equipment that you might need are these things here, and this is for reading the gravity. So in here is a hydrometer. I'll get that out in a minute, and you'll get to have a good look at that. But yes, we'll need that to test the ABV, or like the sugar content of what is in here, because obviously we're not going to be adding any brewing sugar to this. If we do need to add any sugar to this, I'm probably just going to add, I've got a jar of honey, so I might just add that to the mix to bump up the ABV. So yeah, so obviously all of this needs to be sterilized as well, so this has to be cleaned and this has to be sterile, and also you need to go in a hot bath. So inside here is kind of syrup. Now obviously, as you know, if you heat up syrup it becomes a lot more viscous, or sort of flowy, if that's an easier way to say it. So we are going to boil a kettle, and we are going to plunk this in some warm water for a little while, and then we will open it up, put it in there with some water. It doesn't have to come to a boil or anything, it just needs to obviously integrate into there, and then once it's cooled down we can transfer it into there, and job's done. Pretty easy, isn't it? So let's get cleaning. This smells amazing. Oh, yes. I mean, you can see how thick and syrupy this is. Just the smell of cherry is absolutely amazing coming out of this. So good. Right. Yeah, as you can see in there, give that a good rinse out. Give this a good stir. Now, as I say, you want to try and keep everything sterile, everything clean up to this point. Because the nice thing is about bringing things up to a good temperature is that obviously heat kills all the bacteria. And that's all incorporated. Oh, I'll tell you what it smells like. Is it smells like really warm, like cherry pie at the moment, with a slight sort of malty, biscuity smell in there as well. So, right, let's go rinse this out, pour that in. So here she is, all in the sink now. Also, I've just put some ice packs in there just to try and cool it down a bit quicker. But yeah, so basically, if I was to put this in the fermenter as it is right now, being a plastic fermenter, it would just literally melt it. So what I'm just trying to do is just cool it down a bit quicker. So I've just emptied the sink, put a load of cold water in there and a few ice packs just to try and cool it down, and I'll give this a good stir as well, just to try and bring the heat down as quickly as I can. I can't even take a gravity reading yet because, as I say, I've not added all of the water that I want to add to this. So this is only about 3.5 litres, I think it says there. Yeah, about 3.5, I'd say. So I still want to add another 3 litres to this mix. I mean, yet again, still smells absolutely wonderful, and you know, it's still quite hot. So I mean, as I say, I'll just leave it in there for a little while, and yeah, once it's cooled down, stick it in the fermenter. So whilst it's cooling down, I thought I'd talk a little bit about this. So this is what is known as an airlock. So basically, essentially, your homebrew goes in here, and then as it starts fermenting away, like, you know, the yeast that we're going to put in a minute starts eating the sugar and starts converting it into alcohol, producing CO2. You'll get a lot of gas build up, and obviously you don't want that to escape, because obviously you want it to ferment, but you want it to ferment in a clean environment, because obviously if you let things ferment in a non-clean environment, that's when bacteria gets in it, starts going mouldy, and you basically produce vinegar, which is obviously not what we want. So what we need is something called an air locker, and as the name says, basically this allows the gases, the CO2, to come out, but not allow the oxygen to come in. So what we're going to do is, in a minute, is that we are going to fill this with you can either use a cleaning solution, but I'm going to use vodka. Now, the reason that I'm going to use vodka to fill this up, so you only need to fill it up to about here, but the reason that I use vodka is that there's something called gas back. So basically you can, sometimes when you're fermenting, you can get, instead of it blowing out, it creates a suction, and it actually sucks everything back in. So if this was water, and people do use water, I have seen it now again, but the problem with using water, because this is going to be sitting for 2 to 4 months, as I say, like, you know, this is going to, the water in here is going to stagnate, and then obviously if you do get suck back, then basically all of that stagnant water is going to go into your homebrew, and if there's bacteria in here, which if it's coming through here it might very well be, as I say, that's all going to go into your beer and spoil. So if you have an alcohol in here, say sort of like a neutral spirit or vodka, basically obviously if any germs do come in, obviously they will be killed off via the alcohol, but also if you do get blowback, it's not going to ruin the beer, as I say, because it's alcohol, and kills all the germs. So anyway, yeah, there we go. So yeah, once it's all cooled down, we'll start filling this up. So we've got the brew all in the bucket now. I've just added another 3 litres as well to bring it up to the 6. So we're going to dunk the hydrometer in. So I know you might have been wondering, so this is a hydrometer. So basically it's just a float, essentially, with a bunch of numbers going up there, and basically what this does is that it measures the difference between sort of like the water and the sugar level, sort of. So basically we're going to dunk this in here, and we're going to find out what number it comes to, and this is what's known as the original gravity. So basically what this is doing is measuring the difference between the sugar and the water. Now obviously the sugar is what we need to convert into alcohol, so if we take a reading before and then we take a reading after, basically what we do then is use the difference between those two numbers, and that should give us our ABV, or alcohol by volume. And it's literally the difference between these two measurements. So if you don't take this measurement before or after, there's no way of being able to tell what the alcohol percentage of your beer is going to be. So what we're looking for is 1.052, which is on here somewhere. Be around there-ish in the middle. So, right, let's get this sterilised, get it in here and see what she says.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see that very well because it likes to be moving about all of the time, but that is coming up about 10062, so we're 10 over at the moment. So basically what that means, in the most simplest terms, is I need to dilute it a bit because this is too high, it's too concentrated. So, and the easiest way to do that in this regards is just simply to add some more water. So let's add some more water and see if we can get this to balance out. See, there we go, that's better. Right, so I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is reading, obviously minus the bubbles, about 10052, I think so. Perfect spinning. Yeah, that looks about right. Spin it around so you can see. Yeah, so 1.052. Yeah. Right, so we got to our gravity reading, which is fantastic. So if I remember correctly, now with that that original gravity, that should make this, once it's fermented, about 6%, which is fantastic. So in the end, this took 7 litres, so basically just slightly over half. So as I say, the plus side is we haven't added anything to this, like, you know, so this is like probably one of the most easiest brew days I've actually ever had. So basically what we've decreased in volume, we've actually increased in flavour, and as I say, if the hydrometer is anything to go by, once this fully ferments out, it will come to the same ABV, which should be 6%, with obviously not adding anything. So everything in here is just pure flavour, basically. No added sugar, no added honey or anything. It is literally just the sugar that's come from the malt, the cherry flavouring, I'm guessing. Hopefully it's come from juice. Hopefully it's come from juice or concentrate, and then obviously the yeast that's in here as well, or what will be going in, which will be the next step. So let's get this out, and basically what we need to do now. Oh, that tastes nice. Oh, lovely. Right. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to do something called we need to oxidize it. So basically what we need to do is all of these foams, that foam that's in there, that's actually a good thing. We want to give more oxygen to this to make it more fermentable. For, like, yeast likes oxygen, so we need to add more oxygen to this, and basically the simplest way to do that, I'm having to do this a bit weird-handed here, is basically just to give this a good old mix-up, like this. So I'm going to do this for a little while, get this all nice and bubbly and oxygenated, and we'll add the yeast, and then we'll be pretty much done. So there you go, the lid's all on, all nice and secure. She's filled up the air locker with vodka, and there we are. She's all done. How easy is that? Told you it was easy. So now, I mean, this is the hardest part, is we've got to wait. Yes, so we've got to wait at least a good couple of weeks for this to start to ferment. In like the first 48 hours for any home brew is very, very critical. So I mean, I'm going to be watching this like a hawk for the next couple of days. Make sure that it's fermenting properly, that it's not fermenting too quickly or too slowly, blah blah blah. There's many videos on YouTube showing you how to do that, but yeah, I mean, essentially that is it. Just make sure it's sterile, mix it all together. As I say, like, you know, it took 7 litres in the end, you know, but to get to the correct ABV, so hopefully we should get to about 6%. It tasted quite bitter, so I tasted it a little bit before it went into the fermenter, and the cherry flavour does come through very nicely. It also, I mean, it's very bitter at the moment, obviously because the hops that are in here are obviously they're quite fresh. Obviously after the fermentation they will start hopefully settling down a bit. Also the yeast that we've added, that'll add its own particular flavours into this, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty much ready to go. So this is going to go in the corner somewhere in a cold dry place, well, cool dry place I should say, sort of like, I mean, you can keep it at a regular temperature. If you have a fermenting fridge you can put it in there, but yeah, this is just going to go into the corner of my room and just keep an eye on it, and then once it's bubbling away, as I say, we can yeah, go to the next step. And obviously the next step will be obviously waiting for it to finish and bottling. So I hope you tune in for that.
So there you go, guys and girls. That's pretty much how easy it is to make beer. I mean, I told you it wasn't difficult at all, especially if you have one of those kits. It can really speed up the whole process. If we were doing it from grain, we've got to crush the grain or malt the grain, as I say, then we've got to boil it, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, and just buying a kit, it just really vamps it up. And also, just because you have a kit, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to follow the instructions of the kit. As I say, if you want to get the full quantity out of it, we were doing today, for example, as I say, if you wanted 12 litres, as I say, you'd have to go and buy the brewing sugar and everything, but we were able to get away with 7 litres, and as I say, adding absolutely no brewing sugar whatsoever, and came up at the same gravity. So hopefully this should take about sort of 2 weeks to ferment out, and then obviously we have to go into the bottling, and then obviously the final tasting. Yes, so I mean, that's going to be another video which is going to be awesome. Hopefully we can get more of the team together, depending on how things are with the lockdown, to sort of like try the beer all together, so that'd be pretty cool. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys and girls. I say, if you did like the video, give us a big thumbs up down at the bottom of the screen there, and of course subscribe so that you can continue on watching these many concoctions from myself, but also the streams that we're doing as well. I say, if you're not a member of our Twitch stream already, please go and follow. Of course, all of the links to all our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter and beyond, I say, will all be in the description box below. But yes, hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and yeah, see you on the next one for the bottling and the tasting. So until then, stay safe, see ya, bye.